Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chapter 2, New Empires in the Americas. Okay, so to get started on our vocab is the Protestant Reformation, the Northwest Passage, Charter, Colony, and African Diaspora. Okay, so this vocab is going to be exactly the same way as last time. Make sure that you get those notes down when it comes to the vocab. And then at the end, you're going to have to draw two pictures. We already did it with the flip book, so please pick ones that were not in the flip book. So pick at the end, pick Protestant Reformation, pick uh, pick Colony. Okay, probably going to want to pick those two. Learning goal. So this is your goal. This is what you need to be trying to learn. Students will know how America became populated and be able to explain the significance of early migration. Now, we learned in the last chapter, migration means movement of people from one place to another. So, so how did America become more populated? Okay, and why was it important these people were coming over here? Okay, onto the scale. Okay, let's make sure that we check out this scale. Um, Level 1, same as always. With help, you have partial success with level 2 and 3. Okay, so if you know a little bit about 2 and 3, then you're at level 1. Okay. Level 2, it says the student demonstrates understanding of the foundational learning goal content. The student will recognize or recall specific vocabulary, including Protestant Reformation, Northwest Passage, or Charter. Okay, so the first part of this is saying that you know what the definitions of these words are. So you know what the Protestant Reformation is, you know what the Northwest Passage is, and you know what a charter is. Okay, so those are your three. Those are three words for the first part of that. Now, secondly, the student will be able to recall facts about early migration, list types of human-environment interaction. Okay, so this means that you're going to know why Europeans came over here. You're going to know what ideas brought them here. And for secondly, with the human environment interaction, you're going to be able to say like, what did Europeans do with the land once they got here? So how did the human Europeans interact with things around them in their environment? Okay, level 3. The student demonstrates understanding of the learning goal content. So that means that you understand exactly what the learning goal wants you to. And in order to do that, the student will be able to understand how human actions can impact the environment by describing how America became populated, okay, and explaining the significance of early migration. So why is it important that the Europeans came over here? And you need to understand by what process did America become populated. So in order to be at that level 3, you got to understand, you got to be able to answer stuff about level 3, and you got to be able to know those level 2 questions as well. Okay. Level 4, the student demonstrates in-depth inferences and applies understanding beyond the learning goal content. Level 4 means that you're above the level 3, and when you get to level 4, you'll be able to do everything below it, and the student will be able to elaborate on the early Reformation. So in order to be at level 4, okay, it's going to require some extra looking into the Protestant Reformation. Okay, perhaps you might even have to look at some knowledge that's not presented in this video. Okay, but we're going to try to get you there. All right, so let's get going. Make sure that you rate yourself. Remember, always rate yourself with complete sentences. If you're a 1, you're going to say something along the lines of, I'm a level 1 because, you know, I know what Northwest Passage and a charter is, but I don't know what the Protestant Reformation is, or, you know, it's up to you. You know, I don't know everything that you know. Okay. All right, so make sure you rate yourself at the top of your paper. All right, let's get started on vocab. So remember, you got your vocab sheet, you got your question sheet, and you got your blank piece of computer paper. For the vocabulary, first one, Protestant Reformation. So on the left side, you're going to write the Protestant Reformation. And on the right side, you're going to get a religious movement to diminish/remove Catholic influence in Europe. Okay, so this was a really, really long time ago. What happened is the Catholic Church at the time ran a lot of the government in Europe, and other people started not to like that. So there became this thing called the Protestant Reformation. The Protestant Reformation is a fancy word for saying that the Protestants got mad at the Catholics and they wanted to take the Catholics out of power in Europe. It's a very complicated situation, but that's what it is on the basic level. Alright, next vocab, Northwest Passage. The Northwest Passage is an imaginary water route that would allow ships to sail from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean through North America. Okay, so to get from the Atlantic to the Pacific, okay, so this side to this side, they were trying to find a waterway that could go through, but it was imaginary. Didn't exist. Okay, a colony. A colony is a country or area under full or partial control by a different country. So America was a colony at one time. America has not always been its own country. The British controlled America for a long time, and when one country controls another country, or controls a different land area other than its own, then that land that country controls is called a colony. So America, before America became the United States of America, it was a colony. It was owned by other countries. A charter. So when these colonies get started, there's these documents called charters, and basically the king or the queen gives this piece of paper called a charter to somebody, and this allows them to start a colony. So in order to do anything back in the day, you had to ask the king or the queen for permission. So a charter is a written permission slip saying that you can go over to the New World, you can start a colony, you can make tons of money, you can run that land, you can tell basically anybody to do whatever, and you have my blessing. So a charter is just a big permission slip from the king or the queen. Alright, African diaspora. So African diaspora was when people from Africa were scattered all over the world because of slavery. So if you see right here, what happened is that the Europeans went to Africa and they stole a bunch of people from Africa and shipped them to different countries all over the world. And the Africans used to live in Africa, and a lot of the Africans were stolen from Africa and basically shipped to all these countries. So their population was spread all over the world. It used to be here, and then it got spread all over the place, and that is African diaspora. Okay, so right here, we got we got to start at the beginning here. The beginning is explorers. So just in case you don't know what an explorer is someone that was sent from Europe in order to explore new lands for their countries. Okay, so like Spain sent the Italian-born person Christopher Columbus. So Spain sent Christopher Columbus over here to check out the land and to check out what was going on over here. And the real goal for sending these explorers wasn't just to learn. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to make money and to find a place to make more money. That is the goal of explorers. Christopher Columbus discovered the Caribbean islands in 1492. He sailed the ocean blue. Okay. So don't write this in your notes. I just want you to listen. Some things that you should know about Christopher Columbus. Number one, Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Okay, Christopher Columbus did not discover the United States of America. He discovered the Caribbean islands. Okay, he was trying to sail to a country in Asia called India. He was not quite there. He made a little bit of a math mistake. Um, in fact, when Columbus got off the boat, he called the people that he saw there Indians. He called them Indians because that's where he thought he was, India. So um, the term Indians, which we use for Native Americans, actually stems all the way from Columbus. Okay, based on Columbus making a mistake and calling them Indians. Okay. Um, there are not any true pictures of Columbus in existence. All Columbus paintings were done hundreds of years after his death. So this picture right here, this is not a real life uh, portrait of Columbus. He never had one. He never had a real portrait that was done in real time. This is only a guess. We can only guess what Columbus may or may not have looked like. So believe it or not, we don't know what Columbus looks like. Okay, so some misconceptions on Columbus. Okay, so right here, he came from Spain, born in Italy, but he left from Spain. He was trying to get to India, so he sailed this way. When he got here, he thought that he was here. Okay, so he was here, so he called them Indians, but he thought he was here. It's a little bit of a mistake. Okay, just to give you an idea. Okay, so from all this Columbus stuff, meanwhile in Europe, there's a bunch of stuff going on that's real complicated. There's this thing called the Protestant Reformation, and make sure that you get these notes down. This was a movement that happened in Europe in which the two major parts of Christianity had a major power struggle. We had the Catholics versus the Protestants. Okay, both part of the umbrella of Christianity. One's called the Catholics, the other's called the Protestants. They had a major power struggle. For a long time, the Catholics owned all of the government structures in Europe. If you ever needed anything, the Catholic Church was supreme. So the king always had to answer to the church. The church was the supreme being of Europe. So not everybody liked that. So the Protestants under Martin Luther decided to rebel or to go against the Catholics, and it started a big holy war, Catholics versus Protestants in the Protestant Reformation. So this is going on in Europe. There's some European drama. This matters to North America, where the United States is, because different countries were on different teams. So back in the day, different countries were Catholic or Protestant, and they would fight against each other based on the religion that they were with. So it's a very complex issue for sure. With this, in order to increase power, these countries had to go out and try to make more money to get stuff for themselves. So in order to keep fighting this war, wars cost money. Okay, in order to fight wars, you need resources, you need swords, you need food, water, you need all sorts of stuff, you need clothes. So in order to pay for that, they decided to send out these explorers to go see if they could find some stuff in the New World, see if they could find some money. So 1492 was when Columbus first went to the New World. The Reformation started in like 1530. So like 40 years after Columbus, this Protestant Reformation started happening. So they knew the New World existed, so they wanted to try to go look for some more stuff. Okay, so just to give you an idea, so all the green parts, this is 1555. So all the green parts in Europe here, these are all Catholic. And all of the line parts right here, and the blue and the purple and stuff, those are Protestant. So all of these different things right here, except for Islamic, you could consider all of these almost Protestant. So it's Catholics, versus all these Protestants. And wherever there's lines, that means it's disputed. So, and also before 1520, all of Europe was Catholic. And then after that, after the Protestant Reformation, there started to be lots and lots of fights going on. So the more lines there are, that means the more fights and drama that's happening. But anyway, so while that Protestant stuff's going on, they're sending out explorers to try to get to Asia faster. Okay, they want to get to Asia so they can make money. Now, how do they make money in Asia? They trade with the Chinese, and they trade with India for spices and other things. So what they wanted to do is, instead of sailing all the way around Africa, they wanted to just send a ship from Europe straight west, sail it through America, and then get to the other side. So they wanted to get from the Atlantic to the Pacific. So that's the definition of the Northwest Passage, is a water route from the Atlantic to the Pacific. It was imaginary. They never found it. And so these explorers were sent to go look for it, and they wanted to try to find a shorter way to Asia so they could make more money, so they could keep fighting their wars in Europe based on religion. So if we look at this right here, we can see that instead of, they were trying to avoid going around Africa to get to India, they wanted to go straight west and just go through America that way. They did this so they could make money faster, and it was a lot safer as well. Okay, exploration of North America. They might have failed looking for the Northwest Passage, but it was important because while they were searching, they realized that North America is a good place to stay, and they did stay. So they didn't find that water route to Asia, but the fact that they looked for that water route to Asia made them interested in North America. So if they hadn't have been interested in North America, they probably wouldn't have started a colony in America, and America, the United States, probably wouldn't have developed as quickly as it did. So the Northwest Passage is one of the beginning reasons why America became a country. And also, European leaders began setting up colonies in the New World and making themselves extremely rich. America didn't have the gold and things that South America and Mexico had, or Africa had, with the diamonds as well, but America had lush, lush ground to grow from, and lots of trees, and tons and tons of resources to make money from. And that's how they made money. They made money from the vast amount of, they made money from all these resources that were here. And in order to make that money, they had to rely on the slave trade. So this is where they start bringing slaves to America in order to get these resources and make this money. Okay, so we get to our beginnings of slavery. So let's be frank about slavery. Let's be real about this. We're gonna be real. Europeans went to Africa and stole people from there to work, basically. So basically, Europeans needed free labor. They needed people to work in America for free in order to get these resources. So they went to Africa, stole people from Africa, put them on boats, and make them work for free. Some of these conditions were the worst. They were some of the worst things in the entire world. Why Africans? Why Africans? Why not the Native Americans, or why not some other kind of people? They noticed that Africans were used to diseases such as the common cold. Back in the day, the common cold would kill you because they didn't have the right medicine for it. So basically, Europeans had been interacting with Africans for hundreds of years. So Africans were used to European diseases. When the Europeans made contact with the Native Americans, hundreds of Native Americans died from small diseases like the common cold because they didn't have an immunity to it. Immunity is when you are genetically or from your environment, you are used to a disease, so it doesn't hurt you as much. So Africans did not get sick like the Native Americans did. So when one Native American person got sick, hundreds of Native Americans would die. It would spread very, very quickly. Africans did not have the same problem as that. So as the slaves were shipped all over the place, Africans began to spread out all over the world. And when the Africans were spread out over the world, that was called African diaspora. Okay, so here are your level 2 questions. Protestant Reformation was a battle between what types of Christianity? Okay, so what types of Christianity were fighting there? 2, who was living in North America before the Europeans? Pretty basic answer. Number 3, how did Europeans make money in the New World? Level 3 question. What event led to Europeans coming to North America? Okay, so why did Europeans come to North America? There are several things that I talked about that led them to come here. Please include something about the Reformation, Northwest Passage, and business. Okay, so here are some colonies that they set up. The Dutch, the English, the French, the Spanish, and the Swedes. Okay, they all have a role in creating America. Okay, so they all have some kind of contribution to what's going on here. Okay, level 4 question. Using your knowledge from this section, what do you think the true motivator for the explorers was? So do you think it was about power? Do you think explorers really wanted the power? They wanted to be in control? Do you think they were in it for the money? Do you think that they wanted to make tons of money? Is that their major goal? Or do you think they wanted to do it so that their religion that was fighting in Europe would win? So did they want the control? Did they want the money? Or did they want to win for their religion? Well, what do you think is the biggest factor? Thank you very much. Have an excellent day.